What is going on in Chicago?
30 breaking news in the battle over the new Bears Stadium.
Chicago Bears Stadium promises for a new stadium.
Bears Stadium saga.
Big developments in the battle over the new Bears Stadium.
The Bears have cycled through ideas: Arlington Heights, the Lakefront, and a handful of others, each carrying a multi-billion-dollar price tag. And just when it looked like a final decision was coming, the team raised the stakes again by expanding the search into Indiana. A pretty blunt message aimed at Chicago that there are other paths if Illinois can't deliver the framework the Bears want. Because the real story here isn't just where the Bears play, it's about leverage. And today, I'm in Arlington Heights to walk you through every turn: what's been promised, what's stalled, what's most likely to happen, and why this has become Chicago's biggest civic showdown in years. Soldier Field doesn't work for what the Bears want in 2026. First off, by NFL standards, it's small. With 61,500 seats, it's actually the smallest stadium in the league. But despite what you might assume, owners don't actually care too much about that. What matters far more to the Bears ownership is the stadium's lack of premium seating and club space, areas where modern venues generate the real money. Yeah, like this type of money, at every suite, at every game. Not to mention that the team doesn't fully control the building, at least not like most franchises with newer venues. That caps how much they can earn from things like sponsorships and non-game day events, all of which now makes up a huge share of revenue generated by a stadium. Once it became obvious that staying on the lakefront meant getting dragged into a long, messy fight, the Bears started looking for something simpler, a place they could actually own, a place they could shape from the ground up. And that takes us here, to Arlington Heights. But more specifically, the Arlington International Racecourse. It's a long-running horse track that shut down, creating a rare single-owner site for redevelopment. In early 2023, the Bears bought the property for just under $200 million. The site is roughly 326 acres, meaning they own one of the largest blank slate parcels near the city. But describing it as near the city is somewhat of a stretch, especially if you compare it to how close Soldier Field is. The site sits about a 30-minute drive from downtown Chicago, but that's on a good day. Add the kind of traffic that I've talked about before on this channel, and that trip can easily double. The concept is a fixed roof enclosed stadium designed to operate as a year-round venue. The commonly reported stadium spec is roughly 60,000 seats, with an expansion concept of up to 70,000 for major events. The plan calls for thousands of homes and tons of other mixed-use space, all built to handle NFL crowds moving in and out at peak times. After getting control of the site, the entire thing was demolished. But that wasn't just about clearing space for a future stadium. It was a race to qualify for lower vacant land taxes, even as local taxing bodies pushed back. The truth is, Arlington Heights was meant to be a clean break since the Bears owned the land, but it quickly bogged down in approvals and financing hurdles. Even the temporary tax deal, which came out to be a bit over $3.5 million a year through 2027, was just a way to keep the site from becoming a financial hostage. So the Bears did what teams do when the local process bogs down. They opened a second front. It's all part of this chess game that franchises play, using local governments as their pawns, but trust me, we'll talk more about that in a minute. Before this video starts to get really interesting, I want to thank today's sponsor Storyblocks for making this video possible. For today's video, I was on site filming in Arlington Heights in downtown Chicago, and if you watch the channel, you probably know that I frequently travel all over the country to get in-person footage. But even when I do, there are always pieces I can't capture in a single trip, and that's where Storyblocks comes in. Like, watch this. Say I want video of the Willis Sears Tower to use for a project. I can just search the term and instantly get hundreds of results that I can download, and use as much as I want. I can download 10 of these, 1,000 of these, it doesn't matter, it's all the same price. And this is not AI generated slop. This is all real human-made library of footage, music, sound effects, and templates, shot by real filmmakers. And everything is royalty free and pre-licensed, even monetized for YouTube, so there's no issue with copyright. If you want to tell better stories with the tools that I use, head to storyblocks.com/buildcore. They're offering 15% off any annual plan for a limited time only through my link, and using it directly supports this channel. Now let's get back to it. Back in April 2024, the Bears floated a Lakefront replacement, a brand new enclosed stadium built on the parking lots just south of the existing Soldier Field. The historic colonnades would stay, while the current bowl gets torn out and reimagined as a public campus with parks and athletic fields. The stadium itself was estimated at roughly $3.2 billion. The full build-out, including the $1.5 billion worth of infrastructure and campus work, was set to cost roughly $4.7 billion. The Bears offered to put in $2 billion of their own money, plus a $300 million NFL loan, and about $900 million in bonds backed by the existing 2% hotel tax. Add that up, and you're looking at roughly $2.4 billion in public money tied to this plan. And you could probably guess what happened next. It got messy and fast. At the city level, Chicago's mayor supported the concept publicly and emphasized that there were no new taxes. At the state level, the governor's office signaled strong skepticism and described the public funding approach as unacceptable. Lakefront civic and environmental groups pushed back hard, arguing that this sets a long-term precedent, one that erodes public control and ramps up pressure to commercialize the lakefront. With all of this swirling, the whole thing just froze. The Bears wouldn't budge, the state wouldn't budge, and the entire concept just faded away. We were left with some shiny new renderings, only to be told the team would abandon the concept and refocus on Arlington Heights. That was until December 2025. On December 17th, Bears president and CEO publicly said the team would expand its search to include Northwest Indiana. According to the team, the reason wasn't stadium construction money. It was the absence of a state partnership on infrastructure funding and property tax certainty. Indiana's response was to provide a faster structure of governing. They started moving State Bill 27, which would create a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority, a purpose-built entity designed to do what the fragmented path through Illinois couldn't: compress decision-making into a single group. Once SB 27 started moving, Northwest Indiana cities jumped in fast, suddenly treating the Bears like a mega project. In mid-January, Gary published a strategic roadmap and floated 3 sites: the West End near the Hard Rock Casino, Buffington Harbor, and Miller Beach. Then Portage added Hollis Harbor, a 300-acre concept near major highways in the South Shoreline, with claims like private financing and a rent-free stadium offer. But the real inflection point came in mid-February, when Indiana reached a 24-0 vote, a move that aims the entire framework straight at the city of Hammond, specifically the Wolf Lake area right up against the state line. And then the Bears dropped a statement calling this the most meaningful step forward in our stadium planning efforts to date. Zooming out, does Indiana really make sense other than for bargaining power? For a Bears stadium, it's a weaker fit than the other options when you look at fan geography and premium demand. A Bears game is a regional travel problem, and the core fan base is anchored in the city in the north and west suburbs. Shifting the venue south and east helps some more southern fans, but it adds problems for a big share of existing season ticket holders. And because I have to mention it, Iowa also threw together a proposal. Whether you realize it or not, stadium proposals are almost a standard play now because the economics have changed. Teams aren't chasing more seats, and in fact, in most cases, they seem to be downsizing. Really, they're chasing controllable revenue: suites, premium clubs, naming rights inventory, non-game day events, and, most importantly, the ability to monetize the land around the venue. If a team is stuck in an older, publicly controlled facility, it usually can't optimize those revenue streams without running into some type of constraint. The stadium is almost just the anchor. The real goal is the district, turning parking and dead space into hotels, retail, and more, all under a setup the team can control year-round. At that point, these NFL teams become real estate and events businesses that just so happen to host football. And although this might be a bit of an exaggeration, that's the part that doesn't sit right. Because the ask from teams is more so help us build a private revenue machine using public infrastructure and public finance tools. And as someone who's been covering these projects around the country over the past few years, these types of proposals are getting more and more common. Of course, on top of this, teams are asking for unprecedented amounts of public money and threatening to leave if the terms aren't met. Take the Buffalo Bills, for example. After threatening to leave for Austin, Texas, they reached a deal that included $600 million from New York State and $250 million from Erie County. In Kansas City, after voters rejected a sales tax, the Chiefs are in the process of crossing the state border for $1.8 billion in state bonds. But zooming back to where things actually stand with the Bears stadium search, even with all the noise and momentum drifting toward Indiana, Arlington Heights still seems to be the most tangible option on the table. The Bears already own the land, the plan is far more developed, and it sits right in the path of a huge share of their existing season ticket base. We'll likely hear more in the coming weeks and months as the next decisions take shape. Hopefully, when the dust settles, it's the local taxpayer, so often treated like a bargaining chip, who doesn't end up paying for someone else's leverage. I'm Josh, this is Billcore, thanks for watching.